Hello.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Henry. How are you doing?
I'm good, and yourself?
Doing okay. Did you get your nap today?
I didn't. I wish I
Me
did,
neither.
but
Yeah.
I.
Well, we're going to do okay, everybody. I'm, as you know, and I am Lynn Monet, and this is Anne Marie Young, and we
Yes.
are here tonight for Synchronicity, adding pieces to the puzzle. As I've mentioned before, this is the next level of paranormal, where we talk about things that are actually very advanced and very helpful, kind of to put the pieces together where people need them to be put together, with even tonight with mental illness and things like that, and PTSD we're going to be talking about tonight as well. We want to mention to please give the show a thumbs up, as well as share it out. Please share it out with 5 of your friends. If you don't have 5 of your friends, please share it out with 5 of your enemies. We are an equal opportunity podcast, so either way we're good. But I want to talk about our guest that we have on tonight. It is Dr. Renae Nagle. She is a minister and intuitive. She's an intuitive as well as an author. She is a consciousness metaphysical clinician. She's specializing in human empowerment. Renae assesses and treats traumas by desensitizing and shifting those traumas with higher vibrational transformative frequency of love consciousness to restore the body, mind, and spirit to an energy signature that was intended by their original blueprint prior to coming into this current lifetime. Dr. Renae's first book, Healing Emotional Energy, stamps through the 7 mirrors of relationship and medical astronomy, self-published in 2011 on Amazon. Her soon-to-be-released second book is EMDR Therapy to Transmute Trauma Through Love and a New Consciousness Paradigm. We want to, she's backstage. We are so thrilled to have her. I really, really think that this is a podcast that you're going to want to watch more than one time, because some of the information that's, yeah, definitely have something to write down with, and definitely you're going to want to see this more than once. I know that everybody's going to be thinking of a lot of other people that can also use this help that she's offering. And yeah, please definitely, the intention is to help. Here she is, Dr. Renae Nagle.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome to our show. We are so absolutely honored and thrilled to have you with us tonight. We've had a little bit of time to speak with you about some of the things that you do, and it's just absolutely amazing. I think that there are so many people that desperately need what you have to offer them in the field of assistance and helping them get their lives back on track, giving them back their lives for that matter.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
would you like to tell us a little bit about how it all started and you know, how you decided to do this?
Well, most of my life I've been an intuitive since childhood. So I just know things or knew things and got information. At that time, I didn't know I had guides and angels and higher forces energetically that were translating the information to me. But I've always had these abilities since childhood. And of course, you know, most of my life's work has been trauma. I started out as an EMT in the United States Army. I served stateside and in Europe. So I had this extensive medical training and background. And then, of course, when I got out of the service, I went and got my bachelor's in science and community health education and environmental sciences, and was a health educator for a while, and went back to school to get my master's in clinical social work, child and family therapy. And then after that, I decided that I was going to study metaphysics. So I have a PhD in spiritual counseling and metaphysics. Of course, during the course of my travels, I've been all over the United States and all over the world. So I've met many people from many different walks of life. And when I worked as a therapist, very young therapist, I worked in a mental health facility where I worked with people that had everything from sexual assault and abuse from a 2-year-old up to an 80-year-old patient. I dealt with, energy cults. So I dealt with that sort of thing. And then I worked in inpatient psych facilities in hospitals, outpatient mental health facilities, private practice, I worked at Loyola in Chicago, Department of Psychiatry. And of course, I have a background in holistic medicine. So I've studied everything from astrology to do my assessments, numerology, iridology, all the ologies, including most of the humanistic sciences. And then, of course, I have a traditional background in psychotherapy as a basis for my credentials. But I found that over the years, the most significant training that I've ever had was my spiritual enlightenment training that pretty much woke my consciousness up to that there's more out there in the universe that we're unaware of, that we don't understand. And my background in metaphysics, of course, blends physics and biochemistry and psychobioneural immunology, along with treating, medical and psychological conditions. And then, of course, I have a hypnosis background. So I've done everything from hypnosis with pain management and oncology patients to past life regressions, future life regressions. And then, of course, I studied spirit releasement therapy. So I have a background dealing with paranormal entity attachments that affect people. And then a galactic background where I've dealt with people who've dealt with trauma from alien abductions. So I'm a bit older as far as, my biological age, but I still feel almost like I'm 16, a teenager inside, because I am always looking for the truth of the situation so that I can help people. And the truth, other than the universal laws of consciousness, the truth can be different from each and every person. But one of the biggest things that I found when I do my psych assessments is that I do a person's astrology. Their astrology is technically their divine blueprint that the creator gives them prior to their incarnation or their birth or their lifetime. And so in that chart, not only does it show your strengths and weaknesses based on the latitude and longitude, which is based on astronomy, and astrology is a derivative of astronomy, but it shows your Chiron wounding. And in your astrology chart, you have 12 houses, and in each house, they have a sign. So let's just say that you're a Pisces, okay, and your Chiron, which is the wounded healer in Greek mythology, and you look at that and it'll say, well, this person has a duality issue where they have an issue being accepted. And so when I'm working with a client, if I know where their Chiron wounding is in their chart, that gives me a pretty clear indication of maybe why they're suffering from a certain traumatic incident, or maybe why they continue to repeat these traumas and attract them into their system. I know you had a previous speaker, Dr. Michael Lynch, on one of your past programs, and he spoke of nature versus nurture, as far as it affects the development of not only the fetus, but the person, their psychology, their psyche as they're moving through life. And even though I've studied those things in theory, my experience with many, many clients dealing trauma has taught me that it's a theory, that you can grow up in the best of households with the most loving parents and have difficulties all throughout your life suffering from various sorts of traumatic experiences. And what I found is that those experiences can be transcended, but you need to have an understanding of where the wounding started in the first place. Now, some people might say that when you're working with a client and you're doing, say, hypnosis or that sort of work, that, you're leading a client and you're telling them what's happening. Well, that's not how the higher energies work. When you're working with a client, whether you're doing Reiki, massage, clearing an entity, EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, which I've worked with hundreds of clients with, it doesn't really matter, because everything in the universe is based on energy. Energy doesn't die. It just shifts and transmutes itself. So when there's a traumatic experience that the person is suffering from, it stamps their energy field. And in my first book, I coined that to be emotional energy stamps, which it literally will stamp your energy field. And if you know the dynamics of the energy that circumvents around your body, it's kind of like an egg, it's an oval. And energy can come in through a higher spiritual energy frequency, and then it kind of drops down into the, the mind, the body, the spirit, all becomes affected. So when the body is traumatized, it's the spirit, okay, that was intact from the original blueprint of your birth that was traumatized. But then it filters down into the psychology, the mental, emotional body, into the physiology, and it can cause all kinds of disturbances or medical conditions or psychological conditions. And people don't understand that if you don't desensitize that trauma, you will continue to react with triggers from the outside environment that cause a symptom cascade. I call it a PTSD cascade. And that's when you start to suffer from depression, anxiety, OCD behaviors, all kinds of psychological disturbances that affect your physiology, because your vibration is not vibrating any longer at the original blueprint with which you were born into. And so if you want to get back to that blueprint, you have to desensitize the energy in the energy field from the traumatic experiences. Now, in traditional psychotherapy, when you go through your academic training, okay, they will only teach you all the old psychological paradigms, Jungian psychology. Freud is out now. Most people don't even look at that. Okay, now it's cognitive behavioral and evidence-based therapies. And while all those are very pertinent, okay, in my experience over many years of doing psychotherapy with my clients, cognitive behavioral and talk therapies only can take a person so far, because they don't deal with the initial sensitizing event of the traumatic event itself. And so the body is still holding that energy in the energy field, and it's affecting everything about that person. When I worked at Loyola, I used to have the psychiatrist say, "What are you doing with my patients? They're going off their meds." Okay. I said, "Well, because I'm dealing with their original trauma." And they're like, "What?"
They don't need them anymore.
Because the medication is just merely a Band-Aid. Okay, that's what people don't understand. The pharmacies, yes, while they do wonderful work in so many conditions, when it comes to mental health conditions, the reason why so many people are on 5, 6 meds and they're still symptomatic is because it's a Band-Aid. They're not clearing the energy from the trauma. And it's very logical, it's very biochemical, but yet it's very spiritually based from an energy perspective. And so if you don't have the dynamics and understand how energy works, okay, then you're just going to keep taking drugs, and putting a Band-Aid on it, but you're still symptomatic. So you're not well, you're not functioning properly. You're going to still be depressed and anxious and suicidal. Whatever your symptom profile is, it's not going away. The medication just merely kind of keeps it like, a little low ebb, but it doesn't desensitize the trauma. So if people don't understand that, then they're going to just keep, taking the medication. Now, I never tell a patient or a client ever to go off their meds, okay, without being followed by their physician, okay. However, I will explain why maybe that medication isn't as effective as it could be. And then I try to educate them. Well, perhaps if I give you some information so you understand why the medication isn't effectively dealing with the issue that you came to see the psychiatrist, then maybe you'll consider adding that as an adjunct to your treatment. And a lot of what I find as a health educator, because that's my background too, is I spend many, many hours educating my patients and clients to give them information so they can make decisions that are based on logical information, not what they're hearing on television with these commercials that put suggestions in their subconscious programming and say, well, this is the magic blue pill, like the Matrix. You take this, it'll be fine. Okay. No, that's not how things work. In reality, that's not the truth. Okay. These are old paradigms. And when you go through training as a psychotherapist, they're teaching you all these old paradigms in psychotherapy. And I'm not saying that they haven't worked or they don't work. The problem is they don't work the way they're supposed to work, because you're not dealing with the energetic frequency of what's causing the problem in the first place. That's what you have to treat. And if you don't treat that, you're still going to be symptomatic. And I've done so many
Makes
cases with people that I've seen this, they're suffering. And for what? Because they don't have information, because the pharmaceutical companies, the APA, American Psychiatric Association, the AMA, they all have this noose around our necks where they say, no, this is the most evidence-based treatment that's going to help you. But the evidence clearly shows that it's not helping people, because they're actually committing suicide every day. You can see how they're acting out right now all across the planet. People are losing their minds, right? Because they can't handle what actually is going on in the planet right now. We are going through a tremendous process where the entire planet, including humans, are shifting spiritually. And the energies that are coming into the planet that are literally being absorbed by our bodies and our energy fields, people cannot understand how to process those. They don't even know that it's happening. They're in the dark. And because everybody's so caught up with fear, uncertainty, and doubt right now, which I call the FUD factor, right? Kind of like funny, but it's not. They're so preoccupied with everything that's going on externally around them because they're just trying to get through the day. They're trying to get to their jobs, take care of their kids, pay their bills. They're stressed out. The last thing they're going to do is want to go to a psychotherapist and sit and go through 6 to 12 sessions of talk therapy. And they're still not getting better because they're not dealing with a traumatic issue because they don't even know what it is and why it exists. Now, I have a colleague who works with a higher frequency of a collective. They call themselves the group. And I was channeling the group many years ago before I even lived in Santa Fe, and spent many hours doing my hypnosis training and on Indian reservations and doing soul retrievals, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And, those experiences taught me so many things about energy and how energy operates and how consciousness with energy operates. So if you understand that in the universe, there are literally hundreds of laws, universal laws of attraction, laws of compensation, all different types of laws that affect our bodies, that have to do with our karma and our dharma, and have to do with our Chiron wound, and some of these experiences that we've had. And if you understand how some of those things work, then you'll have a better understanding of how to treat trauma. So let's say, for instance, your mother is pregnant, you're the fetus, you're in her womb, and she is going through some kind of psychological issue with her husband. Well, that fetus energetically can see, feel, hear, and know everything that mother is experiencing, including the father, what he's experiencing. It's stamped in the energy field in the womb.
That's amazing.
And the womb vibrates because it's filled with fluid. And water holds memory and it vibrates. It has a vibratory frequency. So that fetus is experiencing all those vibrations already, even before they're born. And so then when the child is born and it grows up, it may have a fear of like a money issue, because maybe the mother was worried that she couldn't support the child financially. Well, that child starts acting out and has money issues. Now, the child could have grown up in a very loving home and environment with that mother. But why the money issue? Well, because of the energy stamp in the womb from the mother's thoughts and her emotions. Now, people need to understand about thoughts and emotions, because thoughts are things. So when you have a thought, okay, it's attached to a feeling that then the body feels, right? And it holds on to it, and it's a vibration of two energies together. So when there's a traumatic experience, let's just say you've been attacked or sexually molested, some type of an assault, in that very moment, in the frontal cortex of your brain, this is where you see where you see the eye of God, sometimes when you're meditating, right? Okay, your pineal gland is in this area. Well, scientifically, you have what's called columnar cells they hold memory in the frontal cortex of the brain. You have the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. And so when a traumatic incident happens, you have a thought here, and there's a biochemical reaction, just like there is when you go into trance and hypnosis, right?
Mhm.
And then here is where the seat of emotions sit, right here where the bones are. So as you have this traumatic event, you have a thought, and then there's an emotion that stamps in your energy field here in your seat of emotions. In talk therapy, they want you to talk about your trauma, right? Well, as soon as the sound of the vibration of the words come out of your mouth, they go into the tympanic membrane where you have bones, the stapes, they vibrate, and then it vibrates right here and into the seat of emotions where your emotions actually sit. And then in that moment, you have an energy stamp, and that causes the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, cascade in the entire body. And your body, literally every fiber of your being, vibrates to this cascade of energy. And in that moment, whatever you told yourself and whatever you felt, that's it. That's trauma. That's PTSD. And it doesn't matter whether it's been an alien abduction. It doesn't matter whether it's been a bullying incident with kids in school. It doesn't matter if you've been raped or sexually assaulted or abused. It doesn't matter, because your body holds a body memory. And in that part of the brain, you're trying to understand things and make things sense, but it doesn't make sense because it's not logical that this is happening to you, right? So you're kind of thrown into this place of fear, uncertainty, and doubt right away. There's no escape. You are traumatized, and that's how trauma works. It's really that simple. But when you're doing talk therapy, I think Woody Allen spent 20 or 30 years in psychoanalysis. Look how screwed up that man was, right? Do you think that worked for him?
No.
Talking about, cognitive behavioral therapy, it may work for some people, but when it comes to desensitizing, a traumatic event, it's not going to desensitize or erase it. Whenever I'm doing this therapeutic tool, in my bag of magic tricks, as I like to call it, because I have many things in my bag of magic tricks. Okay. Uh, when a person is going through this sort of therapeutic intervention, if you will, if you want to call it that, I'll use a clinical term. They don't want to talk about what happened to them. So, for example, if you're a Vietnam veteran, right, because that's my era, if you start talking about your trauma, you're going to trigger yourself and have a flashback and go right back into the trauma. And that's why veterans don't want to talk about what happened to them, because they can't tolerate that PTSD cascade that vibrates within every cell of their body. They just lose it. That's why they drink. Okay. That's why they kill themselves, right? Because they can't handle it any longer. But with the EMDR, it's almost like magic, because as soon as you start going through the repetition, the eyes follow the fingers. You don't talk about what happened to you. You just see it as if you're watching it in a movie. It's like you're in the audience, you're sitting in a theater, you're watching it play out from beginning, middle to end as the fingers go back and forth right here in front of the eyes. Well, guess what? It's right here in the frontal cortex where all that memory is stored. And here's where the emotions sit. So if you're going right here, right in between where the eyes are, and you're moving along and doing the finger repetitions or the protocol with the EMDR, which is about a 90-minute session, okay, that body is going to start to desensitize not only the memory, but the emotional charge of the energy that you got stamped when the traumatic incident occurred. And it's a process. You kind of take a reading, you do like a scale where you go, okay, now from a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is this thought and this feeling along with the experience that you're having? And then through this series of repetitions of using the EMDR, what you're doing is you're desensitizing that memory and the emotional charge of the emotion as low as you can get to 0 or 1. And then you kind of go back in and then you say, okay, now how would you have liked this to turn out? And what feeling do you want to put in of empowerment? And then you kind of go back and do the protocol again, but slower. And it's like a neuro linguistic program anchor, or called, it's NLP. There's a doctor out there. His name is Dr. William Horton. I believe he's based out of Florida. He's a PhD. He specializes in neuro-linguistic programming. You probably will see him on Facebook. He's often on there posting things about his work. But it's a very sustainable and logical addition or adjunct to use with your EMDR therapy. So oftentimes too, once the memory is desensitized and emotional energy charge is now dissipated, guess what happens? Oftentimes that memory goes away as if it never happened. So what happens? Like, how does all that happen? It's not, is it magic? You know, I'm not a wizard. I might be a goddess, but I'm not a wizard. Okay? You know, I laugh because every time this happens in a session with my clients, I'm just amazed because it works every single time. If the person shows up in my office and they are there to do the work, they're going to leave and they're going to be better because I don't fail, because I know the process of why it works the way it does. So if you want to go back to how consciousness and energy works in this whole process with this therapeutic tool, just understand that everything in the universe vibrates at a numerical frequency, or a sound. You know, in the beginning was the word, right? The creator created everything from a word. Well, guess what? Words hold vibration. They hold sound. It's just like when you go to see a concert and a musician is playing and you become overwhelmed with feelings with what he's singing and he's saying and the instruments that are playing. It's because your body understands vibration. Everything in the universe is based on vibration. It's all energy. When you walk into a room and you get a really good feeling about a person versus a really bad feeling about a person, you're picking up on that person's energy. And it's a scientific thing, but it's also a spiritual thing, because in the universe, okay, consciousness, even though people maybe can't explain it, it's a combination of science and spirituality. That's what metaphysics are. And in physics, there are many realms of consciousness that even physicians or physicists are now writing about. And they're trying to teach you about that. There are many dimensions in the universe of consciousness, and we don't understand all of what they entail, but they affect us. And when you're thinking about your astrology, which is based on astronomy, it's based on where the planets sit in the universe. Well, your astrology chart is giving you a big blueprint of all of these parts of the consciousness of not just our planet, but the galactic cosmology of the universe. So it's impinging upon us at all times. Nature knows exactly when to change the colors of the leaves. The oceans know how to ebb and flow with the changing of the moon cycles, right? Women have their menstrual cycles exactly
With
around the
everybody
same
else.
time. It's like everything in the universe is based on vibration, it's flows. You either are flowing in the energy or you're stuck. And trauma slams you down and it sticks you permanently stuck. And you don't know how to get out of it because nobody's ever explained to you there's a formula for you to get out of it. You don't have to stay in the depression, the OCD, the suicidal ideation, even in your relationships with people. Okay. If you're with your spouse and you're not communicating clearly, well, guess what? Your Chiron wound is communicating with their Chiron wound, and you can't understand why the two of you can't get on the same sheet of music and work this relationship out, because you keep trying to fix it through the other person, but it's never going to get fixed through the other person because it's a personal stamp. It's in your energy field, and you're the only person that can fix it. But if you don't have the information how to fix it, you're going to be trapped. It's just plain and simple. So if I'm going to be explaining this to a patient or a client, a lot of these principles will go over people's heads. So in my second book, I try to keep it really simple. You know that expression, it's called KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Well, mine is keep it simple spiritually. Because if you can explain it in a really simple way spiritually to your client and they'll get it, then they'll be more apt to do the inner work that requires to desensitize that traumatic issue. If it's too overwhelming for a patient or if it goes over their head, they're not going to do the work, right? Because they won't understand it. And today, people don't have the time or the nonsense to deal with, a million different psycho mumbo jumbo therapeutic, conversations to explain things, right? So I know I'm talking really fast. I hope this is not too bad, but
no, it's great, and
No,
everybody's
it's perfect.
absolutely enthralled. I'm enthralled. I'm just glued to every word that you're saying, and it's fine. And I did want to mention anybody that does have questions, please put either the first word in bold or the whole sentence in bold, that we can get these questions answered by Renae for you.
I know
as
Jeff
we go
had
on.
well,
Jeff
before
had
we
a
go,
question
before we
there
go into
earlier.
the question, before we go into the questions, okay,
Yeah.
let me just kind of explain.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A lot of what she's saying will probably answer a lot of the questions before they even get asked.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to let her kind of go forward a little bit more, and more towards the end, we'll look at questions.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So in the second book, I go into a very KISS, keep it simple spiritually, formulaic thing. Okay, so in the beginning, in the creation of the universe, this is how I explain things. We were put on the earth, which is a game board. Like when you play chess or checkers, you have a game board and you have pieces on the game board. And depending on where you move the pieces back and forth, you'll have an outcome, right? Or
Yes.
you'll deal with a certain situation. So let's just say, this is Earth. We're on the game board. We're the pieces, you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wherever we move, that's, sort of what happens. Now, those games are games of strategy. Strategy comes from your intellect, doesn't it? So what you're thinking is where you're planning your next move in life and on the game board. And I've always looked at life here on this planet as a game. And people don't understand that whatever you're thinking is what you produce and manifest and draw to you. So when you got stinking thinking because you got all this trauma in your background, all you're going to think about is all the bad things that could happen, not the positive things. You're going to attract those things because you're telling the universe what you want. Universal laws of consciousness are going to attract to you what you're thinking. And if you're not consciously in control and managing and mastering your thoughts and your emotions, you're going to have all kinds of stuff come to you that you don't really want, because you're giving a message to the universe that, oh, I don't really believe that I can have the man of my dreams, or have the job that I love, or have this much financial success, because I've been taught from whoever in the past, whether it's a parent or society, whatever, wherever it came from, okay? It's another negative energy stamp that, oh, I can't possibly have that because that's not possible. But if you believe within every fiber of your being, and you put that belief system 100% out to that universe, it may not come back in a day, but it could come back in 10 years, because everything in the universe is in divine timing. It's not our timing, it's divine timing. Because if it came to you before you could handle it, guess what? You'd probably screw it up anyway, right? Okay.
Probably.
Because you wouldn't be psychologically or emotionally mature enough to handle it. So when people say, well, why is it taking so long? I've waited my entire life for the love of my life. You weren't ready yet, because you had inner work to do. You had things you needed to accomplish. And psychologically, energetically, consciously, you were not attracting that because it wasn't right in the right time. So when you're playing the game of life on the game board, it's really important where your thoughts are. And if you have too many thoughts because of too much trauma, you're going to attract all that icky stuff into your energy field. You're going to get depressed. You'll be suicidal. Whatever conditions you're manifesting, they'll be there. And everything that starts in the conscious collective energies of the universe, it filters down into the physical body, mental, emotional, spiritual. Yeah, it filters down. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute. If I have a blueprint in my astrology chart that shows me these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and these things may or may not happen to me on this game board of life. Well, what's the point if everything is fated and it's destined to happen? Okay, why even bother to try to fix it? Because I have, I'm helpless, I'm a victim. Well, the reason why you have a lifetime is because the soul's evolution is here to teach and learn and grow. And that astrology original blueprint that you helped create before you came into the body, trust me, on the other side, we have a council of other energies or entities that work with us that say, now, what do you want to teach and what do you want to learn? And how does your soul want to evolve and grow in this lifetime? Are you sure you want to take on all those things? Because the intensity of agreeing too many things, okay, is going to put you through a life of chaos and drama because you just took too much on. It's like going to college. And one year I took like 10 courses and I finally had to drop out because I couldn't handle it. It was overwhelming, right? Well, that's kind of how life is before you come in when you pick your life and decide what you want to do. You pick your families. You're in your soul group. Everybody you meet in life teaches you something about your soul's growth. Nothing is by accident. It might seem like it's synchronistic, but nothing's by accident. There are things that you plan, but yet there are other things that we can't control. We can't always control somebody abusing us. Now, somebody might say, well, what if that's my karma? Maybe I abused somebody in a past life. And now it's coming back to me, not to punish me, but to teach me how it felt like, what it felt like when I did that to someone else. Okay. All right. So maybe that's one of your lessons your soul wanted to learn. Are you going to beat yourself up and feel guilty about it because you sexually molested somebody in Greece? Because that's what they used to do in those days, right? It was pretty typical. Greeks and Romans, they were like, this is what they used to do because they had no sense of moral fortitude. They just took advantage of everything because they were in power and they could get away with things. But you can transcend karma and move into dharma, okay, if you understand some of the ways how those things work. Now, somebody might say, well, God, so you're telling me I'm going to live a life where I'm going to be punished because of what I did in a previous time or place? Well, only if you believe that, okay, because your belief structure is what really produces what you manifest and bring to you in life. So if you have been traumatized and your belief structure is, well, I'm a victim and I don't have any way out of this trap, okay, on the game board of life, because everything that's been happening to me has been like a tower moment. Then you go, what is a tower moment? Well, for those of you who do a tarot readings, okay, or have been to a reader, a tarot moment is when everything, the house falls on your head, it comes crashing down, everything in your life breaks apart, everything that you once knew is now gone. You are starting from 0 point. Okay, 0 point. Well, people say that's a bad thing. And I go, no, it's a blessing. It's a blessing because it's the best thing that could have ever happened to you. When you get the rug pulled out from under you on this game board of life, it's a wake up call. Wake up, people. It's not about, making a ton of money so you can hoard it and have a legacy. No, it's about your soul living a life, having these experiences, whether you call them negative or positive, it doesn't really matter. What matters is your belief system around these experiences, what you think about them and how it makes you feel and how you can transcend those and move through those. And if you don't have a formula for how to do that, you're constantly going to be taking pills, medication, you're going to go out and drink, right, to self-medicate. You might do drugs, to self-medicate. You might be a sexaholic, sex addict. You might even be a workaholic, okay, and not know how to ever take any downtime. Now you might go, oh, look at her. She's crazy. She's moving so fast. No, it's because I'm downloading all this information like a biocomputer in my brain because I only have a certain amount of time to get this information out. So I can plant some seeds and give you information because information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. The person who's the most powerful person on the planet has information. When you don't have information, you're in the dark. And if you're not meditating or doing any kind of spiritual practice, like maybe yoga or Zen or Buddhism or whatever it is that's a spiritual practice for you, you're constantly running. You never quiet your mind. You never settle. You can't connect with your higher consciousness when you're always in the mind running. You have to learn how to be at peace. So when I'm doing some of these therapies, I will teach people how to breathe, how to relax, how to center here in the frontal cortex of your brain so that the body can just let go. And when you're doing the EMDR therapy, every cell of your body holds a memory. It vibrates like the universe, right? It's all energy. It's all creation energy. It's all consciousness. So if the body is made of maybe 85, 90% water, maybe more, right? Water has a frequency. It vibrates. If you ever expose yourself to Dr. Emoto, he was a very famous Japanese scientist. He did experiments with water. And he would not only speak words to the water, or he would just put, pictures of things of water. But if you ever do look at any of his work, you'll see that when a positive word or sound or vibration was expressed, the water would turn into these beautiful pieces of crystalline energy, like snowflakes, right? Every snowflake is different. But when he would speak a negative word or present that negativity in a picture, those pieces would get murky and icky and yucky. Why? Because everything holds vibration. It's sound. That's why when you're speaking sometimes of what bothers you, you might notice you feel worse after you start telling somebody how you feel. You don't feel better because you're just re-traumatizing and restamping your body with the energy stamp of the traumatic event. And how is that going to serve you? It's not. It's just going to make you feel worse. So when I'm looking at treating somebody, I'm looking at many, many factors. I'll look at your astrology. I'll do your numerology. I'll talk about, see where your Chiron wound is. I'll do a complete history of your entire life. If you need to deal with any of those issues, I will go wherever you need me to go. I think I've heard just about everything I could possibly hear, okay, in my experience, because I've been open to hearing the truth, and the truth is different for everyone. But the cosmic principles, the laws of the universe, those truths never change. They hold a standard vibration in time or space. Now, just to kind of address that thing about time and space does not exist. It's a human construct. It's what we have used so we can count time on this planet, the days, the weeks, the months, right? Because that's how logically our minds on this planet have worked. We need a time construct. But in the laws of consciousness and space, in the cosmology of the universe, there is no such thing as time or space. In the Father's house, there are many mansions. And you go to the place there after you make the transition out of your body to the vibration or energy that you've achieved in the current incarnation. So if you're living a life where you're taking advantage of people, you're a con man, you're on Facebook and you're lying to women and you're trying to get them romantically involved with you and you steal their money, guess what? At some time or place, you're going to get your tower moment. You're going to get slammed. So you know what that felt like, what you did. So why not knock it off? Okay. And if you want to attract financial success, then start to think about how to do that from a positive, spiritual, higher dimension that
Love.
that is a divine birthright that you were given before you came into lifetime. But you decided that you weren't going to do the inner work and you were going to take shortcuts and take advantage of people. Well, guess what? That's not being allowed any longer. And if you're one of the people that are listening to me right now and you've been getting slammed with a tower moment, God bless you, but it's a blessing, okay? It is not a curse. It's forcing you to wake up consciously and do the inner work that you said you would come to do when you pick this current lifetime. And it's called personal responsibility. Yes, I know.
Oh,
That's a horrible thing
love
for
you.
most people, okay? But
Yeah.
personal responsibility comes from, guess what? The divine blueprint from the creator who gave you autonomy. He calls it sovereignty. We are sovereign beings. We are made in the eyes of our creator. We were put here to be autonomous, to be productive, to be loving, to be kind, to be joyous, to be happy. We were never put here to control each other and manipulate each other
Agreed.
and traumatize each other for our own personal gain, because those again goes against the laws of the universe and the creator energies. Now you might say, get off of your soapbox, Renae. But let me tell you what, every client that I've ever dealt with, when I start to speak to them from a place of love and compassion and acceptance and understanding, whatever they think they've done that they feel guilty for, doesn't matter what it is, okay? If they can take personal responsibility for what they've done and work through the inner dialogue of all of that, the guilt, the shame, the
Let
anxiety,
it
whatever
go.
they've done, okay, they will shift into a higher frequency of consciousness of love. And love is the highest frequency of the universe. There is no higher frequency. If everybody on this planet decided to take personal responsibility for their own inner work, okay, we would
Stop
be
blaming.
living in a
Yes.
planet of not victims, but people who were in their personal sovereignty and autonomy. That was a gift by the grace of the creator. We were given this gift, but because of so many centuries of being bombarded with negative people trying to control us. I mean, most religions are dogma. They're not truth. They're things that people told us to keep us under control, right? So they could
100.
stay in their power. The problem is when you do that, you disempower a human being. A human being is meant to feel empowered, powerful, dynamic. We were never meant to be put in these boxes and follow the herd. Okay. We were never meant to be downtrodden. This is why people are mentally ill on this planet. They're so sick. They're so depressed because they're so far removed from their spiritual centers. They are so far from removed. And when they come to my office, they just want me to fix it, right? No, just wave your magic wand, Renae, make it go away. You know, you have all these
You got to
credentials.
do the work.
You have all these credentials, right? Can't you just fix it, make it go away? No, because my job is to empower you to fix it
Fix it.
yourself.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Because you were given divine compensation as a sovereign being, autonomous, right? To have free will, to live a life. Well, it's not my life, right? I'm not responsible for your life. You are. So I don't listen to excuses. I listen to what you're telling me. I do my
Actions.
assessment, but I'm a being of action because I know in my own personal life, whenever I've lollygagged or made excuses, guess what happens to me? Things just keep getting worse. They don't get better because the universe keeps dropping houses on my head in a tower moment. They go, Renae, wake up. You have such potential. You know what you need to do. You just are what? Afraid because you
Scared.
don't know what to do. Nobody taught me how to deal with this situation. They never explained to me this from a higher perspective. All of my psychodynamic psychotherapy classes, my professors, well, they were wonderful people. Okay. None of them ever spoke to me about the higher consciousness of love and vibration and energy and how all that works. I had to do that when I was out doing my own inner work personally and continuing to learn, because the truth for me was never a closed book. It's always been an open book my entire life. I learn one thing, I utilize it, it makes sense, I internalize it, I go into the next thing. And that's all you really have to do. If you want to heal, be open-minded. Don't believe everything you hear on the news. It's programming. It's to keep you in fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
And it's an illusion.
It's an illusion because it's just like time. It doesn't really exist. The present is a present in the present. So whenever you go too far back in the past or too far in the future, guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be depressed. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be not a very happy person because you're thinking of all the shitty things, that have happened to you in the past. Well, I'm very much of a realist because, when you've done the work and you've worked with hundreds of clients, you see what happens to people, but you see what works. And you know that whatever is working, I'm going to do more of that. And because it's working, I'm going to keep educating people. I don't care what the powers that be out there say to you. I don't care whatever's going on right now in America with all this division and all this chaos and all this political crap. People, turn the TV off.
Meet your neighbor.
Dropping your vibratory frequency. It's taking you and distracting you from your spiritual center. And whatever your spiritual purpose is, what you came here to do on this planet, it's distracting you from moving forward because it wants to keep you in fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's an old paradigm. This is not what the divine, the creative energies planned for us at this time and place. And astrologically, we are now moving into the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius the age of Aquarius is about humanitarian things. It's about being unconditional. It's about breaking out. It's about stop making excuses, get off your butt and follow your bliss. Do what you came here to do. If you hate your job, okay, and you want to do something that is passionate, that makes you feel alive, go do it. You don't have to quit your full-time job. Just get off your butt every day. I have a favorite tarot card reader. His name is Chris Reck, R-E-C-K. He does tarot readings. It's called Minnow Pond Tarot. You ought to listen to him every day. His response is a lot like mine. Okay, stop making excuses. Stop writing in and telling me how wrong I am and how this isn't working for me. He says, get off your butt every day and do something new, whether it's in your personal life with a relationship, your work goals, okay, your physical body, whatever it is, knock it off. Stop making excuses. Do something new every day. And just throw stuff at the screen. Whatever sticks, maybe that's where you meant to be going. For so many years, I hid behind my credentials. Oh, what if, they see I'm a psychotherapist with a license, I'm a minister too, okay? But, what if they hear me say all these things? Oh, they're going to say all these nasty things about me. Don't listen to her, blah, blah, blah. I don't care anymore because now that the energies of the planet, the consciousness have shifted into Aquarius, this energy demands us now to stop making excuses, to get off our butts, to do the inner work, to take personal responsibility and treat the traumatic issues, because those are the things that are stuck. And if you go on the EMDRinstitute.org, it was Dr. Francine Shapiro's site. She has videos up there. She talks about EMDR. There are EMDR trained therapists all over the world. Whether you live in New Zealand, Australia, the UK, or anywhere in the United States, there's an EMDR trained therapist. Many of us also have other backgrounds. Maybe they don't often tell you that, but we have other backgrounds too, because we've learned when we do this particular therapeutic intervention that there is a much more powerful thing than just doing the technique in and of itself. Because you are dealing with that person's higher self. They have a soul wisdom that knows that they are perfectly intact, just the way they are. It's only the spirit that was traumatized by the initial sensitizing event of the trauma. So when you are told mind, body, and spirit, yes, you are mind, body, and spirit. It's your spirit that's been traumatized, not your persona so much, your spirit. So if you believe in spirit, which is of that light, that consciousness energy, and you work at that particular dimensional frequency, you're going to shift and desensitize all that trauma. It's going to be gone. But you have to get off your butt and you have to start that process. And nobody can force you to do that. You have to be ready. So whether it's you're a 2-year-old who's been sexually molested by a minister, okay, or the Pope in Rome, whoever, or anybody who's violated your personal space, your personal sovereignty, your autonomy, okay, you can externally blame them for that experience. And yes, they should be prosecuted and punished for what they've done. I totally agree with that. But at the same point, you can't go through your whole life continually being a victim and blaming other people externally. You have to take personal responsibility and do all the inner work that's required to shift that energy and that frequency. And until you do that, you're going to be stuck. Okay? My job on this planet is to empower people to get unstuck. That's why I wrote the first book. In the first book, I talk about psychobioneuroimmunology, physics, laws of the universe, sound healing, everything that could be incorporated into helping you, give you information and tools so that if one thing doesn't work for you, maybe you want to try something else. Maybe you want to try essential oils. Maybe you want to try homeopathy. Maybe you want to try Reiki. Maybe you just want to get a massage, whatever it is. Just understand that everything that is being offered to you is a vibration of love. It's a frequency to restore you back to your original blueprint that you put in your astrology chart before you came into the current birth or the incarnation. Mm-hmm. And so when you understand how those things all integrate and coordinate and work together, you're going to have a formula for success, and you're going to start to be able to heal whatever it is that isn't really broken. It was just traumatized. People think that when they're traumatized, that somehow they're a broken person. Well, only if you tell yourself you are. Okay. If you believe you're broken, guess what? You're broken.
You will be.
But if you have a formula that tells you, no, that's crap that people, society, whatever, whomever has told you to believe. Well, guess what? Energy only follows your belief structure. So if you believe you're going to not only survive this, but thrive because of it, and that not only was it a curse, maybe you told yourself, but it was actually a blessing for your soul's growth and evolutionary process, because we live many lifetimes. Now, people go, well, I don't really know if I believe in all that garbage. Well, you know what? I never did either. A lot of the things I've done, I've tested. I've tested on my personal life and my own growth and with my clients in sessions. So my belief structures come from proof that I could extrapolate and, consistently produce every single time in my sessions. That's why you see me so powerful, so passionate about what I do, because I've seen it work. It's like a science experiment for me, essentially. And with my background in science, I understand that when you're doing some kind of procedure, right, you want to make sure that it can be something that happens each and every time, right? Well, I know that whenever I use higher states of consciousness in my work, it has a positive, proactive, curative effect every single time. And if I had not believed it with my own eyes, right, in hundreds of sessions, I would never have written the book. I wouldn't be putting myself out there for public scrutiny, which I don't really care about anymore, right? It's like, because I don't care. My purpose is to give you information so you can empower yourself, so you can live a happier life on this planet for as long as you're in a body. And really, people, we all ought to know that since COVID, guess what? A lifetime in a body isn't guaranteed on this planet. We can be taken out for any reason at any time. So there is no purpose in waiting and having regrets. Because if you don't deal with whatever it is in this lifetime, I guarantee you, on another time or place, another, I don't know, galaxy, far, far away, okay, you're going to have to deal with the same issue. And for those of you people who are suicidal, who are thinking about killing yourselves, I'm going to give you some more information. You can go ahead and kill yourself. You have free will. But when you cross over, they're going to do a life review and they're going to say, wow, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. What do you think you could have done differently to deal with that issue? And then they're going to say, okay, but you agreed to deal with these things in your before you came into the lifetime. So guess what? You're going to go and have another incarnation in another body, in another, I don't know, star system. It doesn't really matter because guess what? There is life everywhere. We have proof now that comes back from NASA, from these space satellites that shows that life exists. And it's only a matter of time before other things continue to happen, which they already have because people see spaceships all the time. It's not like we haven't seen them. It's not like the government hasn't lied about them happening. It's not like people haven't been abducted, okay, and traumatized, So there are things that have been hidden from us for many, many, many millennia to keep us under control. So we don't live as sovereign, autonomous beings. And it doesn't matter where the trauma comes from. It all has the same end result. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us paralyzed. And then it makes us helpless. And when you're helpless and you have no hope, guess what?
No hope, no doing it.
It's not a pretty picture. So I know that I've covered a lot of topic areas. I've moved through things really fast. I apologize. I apologize for anybody.
Oh, no.
I apologize for anybody that's very fast, but I must tell you that I don't know how much time I have to deliver this information. There are no guarantees in life to be in a body. All I know is what my guides, my angels, my galactic brothers and sisters have impressed upon me in this lifetime. And as I'm a double Scorpio sun and moon with Aquarius rising, so I don't have any time to waste. Yeah, I'm a little intense, but guess what? I want to magnetically communicate to my audience that here's information. Here's why it happened. Here's why you're traumatized. Here's how to get out of it. But again, I can't fix it for you. My job is to inform you and to enlighten you and to empower you to do the personal inner work or responsibilities that you said you would do when you came into the current lifetime. And if you don't do it, nobody's going to punish you. But you may not live a fully authentic life in your integrity. And, when you live a life of authenticity, you wake up every day. You say, thank you for giving me another day. You're grateful.
Gratitude.
You're grateful for all the experiences that happened to you because there are lessons for your soul to grow and evolve. Bottom line, nobody's punishing you on purpose. Okay.
You do it to yourself.
Exactly,
Taking
because
the responsibility.
it's your belief structure. So if you want something in your life, you have to change the way you think. And when you change the way you think, it will change the way you feel. And the person who masters their emotions on this planet has the most power. Because when you can master the emotions are energy in motion. So if you're all messed up emotionally, you're not going to be able to master the emotions and attract that which you desire and which you love. And we all deserve to be happy. This, paradigm of making us live in fear, uncertainty, and doubt is just to control us. If everybody consciously woke up on this planet and said, no, I know who I am. I remember that I'm a divine being. I have more power in my little finger than any of these politicians are leading me to believe that I need them so I can live a more happy, productive life. No, that's
They
just
need
another
us for the money.
that's just another form of control.
It is.
The 7 deadly sins, right? What are they?
Yeah.
Greed, avarice, there's a million of them, right? Off the top of my head. But again, those aren't necessarily bad things unless you don't learn from them. If you understand that they're just merely teaching tools to put you back inside in your spiritual center, okay, and connect with your higher self, which is their spiritual center that comes down into your body. If you don't connect with that, you're going to be a lost soul. And when you suicide out, they just put you back in another body. So why not just like deal with the issue, deal with the trauma? That's why you feel so distressed. When I worked with military, and I'm ex-Army myself, and I was an EMT in the service, I spent many hours dealing with people's medical issues in the emergency department, in OB-GYN, in internal medicine. I did rotations in the Army hospital where I worked overseas. I was exposed to every kind of person from every walk of life, every ethnicity, and whatever it was, whatever the issue was, whatever they were thinking, whatever their belief system was, affected their physiology. And I was 18 when I was exposed to those things. So my belief system was colored by the way I was brought up in the society I was brought up in the 60s. So imagine then you're thrown into a military system where everything is regimented and, logical and, set up to achieve a purpose, right? Well, guess what? That purpose, that militaristic viewpoint of the world, okay, is what has traumatized the world. All you have to do is look towards Russia and see what that militaristic attitude and belief system is doing to the entire planet. One person can affect the entire consciousness of the planet.
So
Because
true.
that person consciously is setting up a paradigm of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And if you are paying attention to that, you're feeding into it. You're feeding into that energy. So the best thing you can do is not pay attention to that energy and see the planet in a peaceful way that you would like it to be. Just like when I'm installing the EMDR with the emotion, the positive thought, the way you would have liked the experience of the trauma to turn out, and attach and a feeling of empowerment with it, you can do the same thing on a planetary level when you're looking out and just pouring this energy of higher consciousness out into the universal consciousness. And you don't think that maybe one person can make a difference, but you can, because the power of love and light is the most and the highest vibratory frequency of the universe. And if we all opened up and did more of that, we wouldn't be seeing all this garbage. Those people, those tyrants that cause war and destruction and mayhem, they would be removed from the planet because they couldn't live in the vibration of love. That's a frequency that they couldn't live in. It's too uncomfortable. They would just check out of their bodies and be gone. We could get rid of a lot of these issues if we would all work as a collective. One of my favorite shows is Star Trek. I grew up with Captain Kirk. Okay.
So did I.
Love the man. Okay. Because he was a leader, but he led with compassion. He valued everybody in his ship. They were a team. And every experience that he came into, and this is why I love Gene Roddenberry, who was the author who wrote all the books, okay, that Star Trek was based on. All of his episodes were based on this higher consciousness of this collective of love, of working together for the betterment of humanity. Okay. And even in the most dire circumstances and the situations that he found himself, he operated from his personal integrity of this place of love consciousness. And you don't have to believe me. Just go back and watch the old episodes and you'll see what I'm talking about.
It's true.
It's all there. It's all
It is.
there. Okay, so I'm going to open up it because I've been talking now for an hour and 15 minutes, and I know we have people that have questions. So I'm going to have a drink of water, and I'm going to take a question.
Okay.
Well, while you're drinking that water, I just wanted to say hello to some people as I go through, so that way I can put up any questions.
Okay.
Hello to Jeff Terlgowski. I know I'll never get that name right. He's
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, he was very interested in our show with Mike, with watching this show and getting to see you. And he had started right off the bat. Do you feel like me in the heal through holistic treatments?
So do you feel like me and heal
me?
through holistic treatments?
Yeah.
Okay, so as I explained before, every one of those therapeutic tools has a vibratory frequency, right? And usually each and every one of those practitioners has had to experience some kind of internship when they went through their training. So they understand vibration very well when it comes to their particular holistic tool that they use with their client. So depending on what it is he's using, whether it's essential oils, whether it's homeopathy, whether it's Reiki, whether it's EMDR, it all has a vibratory frequency when you're using that therapeutic tool or intervention. Each and every person may respond differently because they have a different Chiron wound or traumatic energy event that they've experienced. So holistically, most practitioners are trained very different. There is no one college or school to go to get a holistic degree. Okay, unless maybe you're going through like a school to be a naturopath, which may be a 6 or 8 year program where you're learning about herbs and supplements and oils, and medical types of remedies, that are of a holistic nature. So I don't know specifically what holistic paradigm or modality he is asking about, but if I knew what that was, maybe I could address it a little bit clearer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Also,
yes, it does.
It does. Dr. Mike's out here too. He's telling us, "Go girls, go."
And one of the big
my
questions
brother
too,
from another mother. That man.
Yes, and he's wonderful. He is actually responsible for bringing Renae to us, which has been wonderful. And also, I've been kind of quiet because your guides have let me know that this is your stage, girl. What you have. No, seriously, what you have to say is so important at this time. And we've had this conversation. Minds are opening. People need this because of the blockages that they are experiencing in this lifetime, that they are not on their paths completely. And like you said, we need to all come together and light in order to make things shift for the better. So this is so important.
Statistically, in the United States, there is one psychotherapist for every 300 people. Wow. And since COVID, most of the psychotherapists that were actually in practice probably are burnt out and they haven't gone back to work.
No doubt.
Because they're fried. Much like the doctors and nurses, God bless all of them. Okay.
Oh, yes.
And the paramedics and the EMS crews and everyone who's been out there who has taken care of people with this horrible pandemic. Okay. Thank God for them. But people haven't gone back to their jobs. They're burnt out. I was semi-retired during COVID. Okay. I had some downtime where I basically could rest and do other things, which was okay. But a person like me, I'm bored. I'm bored because I know that there's so many things that I have to do that I want to do. But like everybody else, I couldn't do them. I had to find other outlets to fulfill myself, right? So and as far as Dr. Michael Lynch goes, you know, whenever we start chatting, we're just laughing all the time because of the nonsense and the drama and the chaos that's going on in this planet that does not have to happen. Okay. We laugh and we go, this is insanity. We go, when are they coming for us to take us on the ships and get us the hell out of here? Right. Because it's freaking ridiculous. You know, why does this have to happen? Well, because we have to wake up and take personal responsibility. Nobody's coming to save us.
We are our own savior.
You might see the ships out there that are watching us, but they're not coming to save us. They're our brothers and sisters from a future dimension. They know what we have to do to ascend spiritually, but they also know that, like little children going to grade school, we still have to do the work and take responsibility. Otherwise, we won't ever learn anything and grow and evolve.
That's
and
true.
So they love us. They support us. Our angels oftentimes laugh at us at how silly we are because we can't see what they can see, right? But if you don't have all the murkiness clogging your arteries, your spiritual arteries, right?
Yes.
Be able to use your intuitive abilities, see, feel, hear, and know. You know, when some people go, oh, you're a medium, you're a psychic, oh, that's woo-woo, blah, blah, blah. No, that's crap. We have been programmed in our DNA. Intuitively, we all have these abilities, but we've been taught that it's witchcraft, it's woo-woo, you can't go there, it's the devil, right?
Yes, that's true.
No,
That's what I hear the
no,
most.
these were
No.
gifts that were given us by our creator so we could operate in the
Help.
world, okay, and to hear and see and feel to know the truth.
And connect with them too. Yeah, for guidance.
Exactly. And the truth is being hidden from us to keep us what? Enslaved
Control.
and controlled and dominated, okay? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So when Michael and I start talking and we start laughing, we're laughing because of the absurdity of all of it, right? It's just absurd. If people knew that there was a way out of this dark night of the soul, I call it, on a global
I
perspective,
do too.
globally, they could be free because they would understand how powerful they really are and how they believed what other entities have told them, that they're not powerful, that they need the drugs. Okay. They need the drugs. They need the alcohol.
The addiction. Yeah.
They need the addiction because that makes them feel safe. Well, guess what? The only security comes from within, from your spiritual connection with your higher self. That's where all of the, what is it? The certainty of who you are and why you're here and what you remember and why you came here. That's that peace, that tranquility, that security only comes from within. You know, Jesus Christ was a master teacher on this planet. He lived in a body because he needed to know what it felt like to be human, to go through what we experience. But he often said that the only way out was to go within, because all the answers were already programmed in our DNA within us. And that's why in his belief structure and his parables, he always told these stories, okay, back to self-empowerment, because that's where the power was put within us. And so now over millennia, we've forgotten how to get attached to all of that and to learn how to use it. So then we think we have to follow these people, these gurus that say, well, this is the only way to do this. And I always say to people, don't believe what I tell you. Go out there and practice it. See how it works for you. Okay, move through it. Learn from it. I'm just a vessel giving you information from my years of experience, whether it's in this lifetime or many of my past lives or even my future life, okay? Because we all exist in many dimensions at the same time. If you knew how big the soul was, that it can't possibly fit into one little meat suit. I have a friend who calls our body a meat suit. That would
That's what our friends call it too,
yeah,
Kristen.
it's a meat suit. Okay. Steve
Mhm.
Rother, who channels the group, who I actually was channeling before I met him many years ago when I did spiritual seminars. I attended spiritual seminars in Mexico. Anyway, he calls it a meat suit, which I think is kind of funny, right? Because Lady Gaga wore a meat suit one time, right? At
Mhm.
the Oscars, I believe it was. Okay.
Yep.
Well, think about it. We're beefy, we're meaty, right? But that's just the exterior. That's not who we really are.
Nope.
We are this soul, this huge, powerful soul that can only fit into one body. No, 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 no. That's why you'll see maybe 5 other people out there in the universe that look like me, right? A doppelganger. Well, because it is that energy, right? You can't fit one soul into one little meat suit. So you're going to meet people all your life that are familiar to you. Like, haven't I met you somewhere before? Well, yeah, maybe you have, because the soul is that dynamic. You know, the creator would never, never make something that powerful and put it in one little meat suit, one little body. Okay.
It's
Not
true.
possible. And as far as a belief structure goes, anything that you can conceive is possible is possible. But because you were told, no, that's not possible. You can't possibly want to do this and succeed in this area. Okay. Look at all the kids that go
Mhm.
on The Voice or American Idol, right? You think those kids would be on those shows if they didn't believe that they could do that? If somebody had said to them, no, that's not possible. No, they threw convention to the wind and they said, no, 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 I believe in myself. I'm going for it. Because
Mhm.
why? Because it's in your divine energy. It's in your DNA. When I wrote the first book, I was being downloaded, from my guides, the angels, higher energies that said, no, 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 Renae, you're the person who needs to write the book because you have the background in medicine, in education, in psychology, in metaphysics, in physics, in energy medicine. You understand holistic medicine. You have to write this book. And if you don't do it, we'll get somebody else. Okay. So get off your butt and do one of the things you said you were going to come here to do. You were here to give people information. Somebody, Steve Rother called me once the librarian. He said, you're like the librarian. You're the computer. You download all the information, dig, dig, dig. You put it into little compartmental files, and then you disseminate it to whomever needs it. I could be outside in a grocery store, in a library, in a bookstore. People don't know me. They don't know what I do. They walk up to me all the time. They tell me their problems.
Same here.
Same here.
Problems. Why do they do that? Because it's who likes my energy, right? They're picking it up
Mhm.
subconsciously, but they don't understand that they're just tapping into the consciousness of the universe, and their guides are talking to my guides, and they're picking this up on
She's
the sub.
approachable. She's approachable.
And it's
She's
like,
got that approachable vibe.
yeah. And anything they tell me, guess what? I'm never shocked because the things
Yep.
that I have heard, I don't put a judgment on it. I don't judge it because it's not my experience, right?
Me too.
I'm just a facilitator. I just do what I do, because it's required, it's needed. I don't tell people what to do. People usually ask me, like, Renae, here's what's going on. What do you think about that?
Mhm.
Don't ask me if you don't want to hear my answer,
Yep.
because I will tell you from my experiences, about what I believe about that. But then I will also give you information so that if you never ran into me again, you would know exactly what to do, where to go, where to get the help. Period.
Mhm.
Because that is what I came here to do. I came here to empower
Seeds.
people, humanity, so we can empower the planet, so we can all evolve spiritually. We've never meant to
Beautiful.
stay stuck in this vibratory frequency. This
Mm-mm.
is a lie. This is an illusion. Look, do you know how many movies Keanu Reeves has made about the Matrix?
Yeah.
That man has made gazillion dollars making those movies. And why are they so
Mhm.
popular? because at a very vibratory level, every cell, every fiber of our bodies knows that to be true, that we are powerful, that we have the ability to manifest those things that we desire in our lives. So why wouldn't you go for it if you knew what this formula was and how to solve the problem and deal with the issue? It would be ridiculous, right? Do you want to live in a herd mentality and just go down the rabbit hole with everybody and anybody who is giving you the blue pill or the red pill? Why don't you look at alternative views? Be open-minded. You know, the person who has the most powerful and is most flexible on this planet is a person who's the most open-minded, because they're seeking the truth. And the truth for everybody is different. You can't rabbit hole, pigeonhole somebody into
And
a little
it's not,
box.
everybody is not
it's
supposed to
perfect.
have the same thing. All our purposes are different.
Because it's your
It's all
soul's
supposed to be
evolutionary
different.
path. You know, in your astrology, you have a blueprint for the lifetime, but that doesn't mean that's the way it has to go. Most people don't understand. And if you talk to a really good astrologer, they're going to tell you that you can transcend your birth chart. You don't have to stay stuck in those lessons. And you can ask your guides, your higher power, your angels. You know, I know that I agreed to go through this experience in this lesson, but do you think you could make it a little less intense? Do you think you could, like, you know, or do you think maybe we could forget this now? I'll do it the next lifetime. Really? People don't know you can do that because nobody ever told you could do that, right?
Wow.
So if you don't have information, you know, that you can change things at will, then you're going to stay stuck in this murkiness of this planet on this game board. You know, I didn't choose to necessarily want to go through this game board the way I've been going through it. Okay. However, I can't control what the people who have been in power with the money and the greed and the tanks, I can't necessarily control what they started. So now I'm left, right, to transcend it, transmute it energetically on an individual basis, and now on a collective basis, on a global basis, so that people can understand we don't have to put up with this garbage. But if you don't all take responsibility, both individually and collectively, and do something different, you're going to still have the same stuff happening day after day. And you're going to see more shootings in schools, and you're going to see more chaotic people losing their minds and punching people on streets. All right. I mean, it's just ridiculous what's happening out there, because the consciousness, the vibratory level on this planet has sunk below the vibration of peace and harmony and love. And until we raise that individually within ourselves first, right? How can we expect the collective vibratory energy or frequency to raise for the planet so that we can have a more humanitarian way of living life? It's no longer about what we can get for ourselves, because you see how far that's gotten our planet, right? You see the devastation it's done to our oceans. Okay, the floods, the fires, you know, the natural disasters. Do you think all that's happening because nature is mad at us? It's happening because what we have done. We are so preoccupied with making money and fossil fuels and, you know, electing people who tell us one thing and do something else. Okay. They're not here in service to humanity. They're here in service to themselves. Well, the age of Aquarius is dropping the proverbial house on everybody's head, including the governments all over the world and the leaders and the dictators and the politicians. All the secrets are now coming out. Nobody's going to be able to hide anymore. Nobody's going to be able to hide. At some point, you're going to be able to hear what everybody around you is thinking.
Telepathy's coming back.
I know it might seem a little crazy, like who would want to go through that experience, but that's how it works in the higher realms of dimensional consciousness. They don't have to speak from their mouths or words. They're
It's
just thinking it's
telepathy.
not. It's telepathy.
Telepathy's coming back.
The U.S. government has been using telepathy for many, many years. These are not any type of paradigms or energies that are these are not new, but they've been hidden from us to keep us down, to keep us out of our personal autonomy of being a sovereign being. So if I can get through to even just one person, okay, so that you understand that this is not about control. This is about setting you free. This is about
Freedom.
empowering you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose to go down this path, your life will get better. I promise it will. I promise it will. It has in my own life, but I had to be willing to do the work. I couldn't look outside of myself and have anybody else fix me. And my belief system has to be so strong because the powers that be out there will pull you down at every turn because they want to keep you enslaved. And that is not your divine birthright.
Nope.
So as I'm writing this book, the second book, in less than 5 days, by the way.
Download.
Bingo. Okay, listen, I've been sitting on this book for like the last 12, 13 years, okay? They said, no, it's time. Like, just get out there and just do it. Okay. So in the book, I talk about a lot of these topics that I just, spewed out all over the radio waves or airwaves or whatever. And it's in the book, and I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out or who's exactly publishing it. It's a work in progress. My guides are telling me, it's just one step at a time. But when I was writing this book, the information was just coming so fast, like light speed, just like it is coming now when I speak with all of you. But it was coming from a place of love. It was all meant with the highest purpose, highest intention. Okay. The highest intention to shift humanity in this place of the Aquarian place of humanity, the humanitarian, being unconditional in this compassionate place of love consciousness and operating outside of the normal, quote, realms of what we've been taught to believe. Because what we've been taught to believe is an old paradigm. It's an old energy. It no longer serves us. Why do you think things are so chaotic right now? Christ used to say, it's only through the chaos. It's only when you move through the chaos that you come out into the light. Why? Because you start to embrace your shadow side. Most people, whether they're a doctor, a nurse, a Reiki master, a massage therapist, a psychotherapist, a musician, okay, we all produce creative things that come from this place of light and love and passion because that's what we love, right? But there is this other side, the shadow side, that we all hide, these wounds, these traumas that we try to run from and escape and not accept as a part of who we are. So we never integrate anything. And if you don't integrate the masculine and the feminine principles, the yin and the yang, the right and left hemispheres of the brain, if you never balance the masculine and feminine energies, you can't integrate. You're always going to be like a socket in a light plug, fizzle here, fizzle there. You're never going to make the connection, right? In the brain, you have what are called dendrites, right? Synaptic nerves, all right? They have connections. They tell the brain, oh, this is how things should work, right? So I'm working with a holistic doctor for 10 years in Chicago. We're going through hyperbaric oxygen therapy in Anaheim, California, with medical doctors who have kids who have ADD or Asperger's syndrome, or people who have had strokes, whatever. We buy a hyperbaric chamber for the office. A couple weeks later, Dr. Ken has a left brain stroke. All his right side goes out. His speech is slurred. He can't write. He can't work on his patients. He was a structural doctor. He did functional medicine. And I worked in the office for 10 years. I did marketing and media and helped him with his patients, but I also then did my own practice and worked with my patients. We had a hyperbaric chamber. The doctors at the hospital in Chicago said, oh, 5 years maybe he has, right? He's never going to be okay. We bought the chamber. 5 weeks later, walking, talking, working on his patients, right? Because we had the protocol of oxygen that goes into, guess what? The brain,
The
into
brain.
the DNA, into the synaptic connections, causing them to grow back. Because when you have a stroke, the brain starts to idle like a car engine. It's not making the connection. The ignition can't be turned on, right? Hyperbaric medicine, which has been used for years by the military to grow tissue, but regeneration work, like they used to do in Egypt, by the way, but that's another story. Okay. And then he was back to work. He was working with his patients. Had I not been there to see it, I would have never believed it. We used to treat people 15 years post-stroke that the doctor said they would never be well, that they started to walk and talk again. We put people in there with dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and we would even do seminars where people would come in after 3 days and they were out partying the night before with a hangover and put them in the chamber, right? So, and what was all that? It was, guess what? It was oxygen, right? Which is in our atmosphere that was going into from a higher pressure gradient into a lower pressure gradient into the brain and turning the brain back on. Well, everything in the universe that might be of a holistic nature can tell the body how to turn itself back on and get it running again. But if you don't know these things exist, you're not going to use them. Do you know that in medicine, in hospitals, if you have a stroke, you don't know to ask for hyperbaric medicine because insurance companies will only pay for 10 or 12 CPT codes. This is insurance for, say, diabetic wound care. I worked for a hospital one time, and it was in Chicago, a very well-known hospital, in a kidney dialysis facility where all they did was kidney dialysis, but because of the diabetes, they would do amputations of limbs. You know how much money a doctor makes when they amputate your limb? At least 30 grand. I saved somebody's foot from being basically amputated by giving them information about hyperbaric medicine. Do you know they fired me for that?
Yeah, because they didn't make their money.
Of course they did, because they weren't going to make no money.
Big pharma comes in there and all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And you know what? I don't really give a shit because the person's life I saved, as far as her foot, okay,
yes,
was one of
Thank you.
her daughter said, "Thank you so much because I would have never known this existed, and my mother would have been amputated." So what I'm telling you is that I have all these other experiences in working in medical facilities, okay, whether they're military or, you know, civilian. I've had all these experiences, and I've even worked in autologous bone marrow transplant research at Loyola at the Cardinal Bernardine Cancer Center. And I watched how they did stem cell transplants and how the doctor screamed in the middle of the waiting room, "Oh, don't you know we kill 50% of all our patients?" Look, I believe in using the best of everything that is out there. And until our planet understands that complementary medicine is an alternative, okay, holistic complementary medicine is necessary to coordinate with medicine. That's why, okay, people don't understand. They always say to me, well, why are our doctors and our psychiatrists not telling us about these things? Because their hands are tied by the AMA and the APA. They'll lose their license. They'll get fired because that's not where the money is made, by curing you. The money is made by keeping you on the drugs, the medication, and cutting your limbs off.
It's true.
You know, I totally believe.
Oh, I know it. They've tried to take mine. I have a condition, an LD on my legs, and I'm type 1 diabetic, but I take care of myself.
Listen, I very much believe in medicine because I was an EMT in the Army. And I believe in heart replacement surgeries. But let me tell you something, the medicine of the future is going to be so far beyond what our antiquated dinosaur medicine is today. You're going to be able to regenerate limbs and body parts, which they're already doing in laboratories. You can clone a fetus. Okay. These are so many things possible. Do you think these things would be possible if the belief system was never going to go there by the doctor or the scientist or the lab person who actually came to them? Do you think this information just came out of the blue? No, it's all been downloaded in our consciousness.
If you can think it, you can create it.
Yeah. And this is how powerful human beings are. But we've been taught to not be in our full power. And that's been a lie the whole time. So at this point, okay, I could go on for days. I could teach seminars about this stuff. It ad nauseum. But my central message that I hope I got out was that people wake up.
Yes, absolutely.
Wake up, people.
And
that's what we need.
We are definitely too.
Wake up.
We are also definitely going to have you back on because there's another whole segment on attachments and things like that we never even got into tonight. Also, Dr. Mike said to talk, he wanted you to tell them about your guides. And I wanted to thank L.C.S.W and Dr. Mike and also Greg Koss for some compliments. And thank you very much for that as well. And Dixon-Do. We have actually about 15 minutes left on the show. Everyone has just been mesmerized. I know that I've been glued. I definitely plan on watching this whole thing over again. We really, really needed to hear this. The timing is just right. Everybody that is here needs to hear what you're saying. And it's such a crucial time in the universe and the time frames right now.
There's no more time to waste.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no more time to waste.
The moment is now.
The moment is now. And the present is a present in the present. And we all need to individually do what we came here, what we said we were going to do, and stop being afraid of what people think.
Right.
Just do what your mission is.
You.
Do your mission. Don't care about what anybody else says, because guess what? They're just trying to keep you in fear so you don't do what you came here to do.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Does anybody have any questions for Renae tonight?
Trying to
there were a couple of them that did come up. Dixon-Do had asked something about the dragon.
Yes, the collective dragon. I was trying to put her. I believe so. I think the dragons are coming.
Yeah, this question may seem silly and even stupid, but is there a dragon collective?
Well, that's not my area of specialty. I have a million of them, but that would probably be more Anne Marie's area of specialty. But what I can say to you is that, again, all right, everything holds a vibration. Okay. So if you're experiencing that sort of experience, right? Then it's specifically meant for you. And so if you want to know what that is, just do your research, look into it, be inquisitive. You know, we've been given this mind to be inquisitive. So search for it, research it, keep going till you find out what it's all about. So that's the best I can do to answer that question.
You know, I was wondering too, with what you were talking about, you know, things not wanting us to move forward and that sort of thing. What is it that's wanting to stop us from that direction? What have you found that what is the energy, or, I mean, why would they want to stop us from being the best that we can be? What is the purpose of destroying the earth and, you know, not letting us move forward to save it?
It's called greed. It's called greed. It's pure and simple. The people who want to stay in power, right, and keep their power structures, their money, their buildings, control. I mean, look what Putin's doing right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think he invaded that country because it was just something to do? No, he wanted the grain supplies so he could do what? Manipulate the entire
Area.
United Kingdom and all the
Mhm.
adjacent countries. It's so simple. It's not like it's
Mhm.
rocket science to see what he's doing. Okay. And everybody says, oh, he wants to like bring Russia back, blah, blah, blah. No, it's
Mhm.
bullshit. He's all about money. He's an oligarch. He's a thug. He's a mafia con man. Okay. He's
Mhm.
been in power so long, they've let him get away with it. Do you
Mhm.
think that man would be allowed to do that stuff, in
Anywhere
any other
else?
country? They would
Mhm.
just put a bullet in his head and get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
That's
I
why
was
he
just
has people around him all the time, because he's afraid somebody's going to assassinate him. And guess what? He's
They
probably
will.
going to get that happen because karmically, he has put it out in the universe. He has violated his soul's mission. He was supposed to do other things here, but he's a renegade. He
Mhm.
took his mission and he took it and he brutalized it and bastardized it. And now he's going to suffer. He thinks the world is going to let him get away with this, but he's not going to get away with it. No, he's not. He thinks he is, but he won't. And he will
Mhm.
suffer. He's going to suffer. Guess what?
Big
The,
time.
the tower is going to come crashing down
Mhm.
on that man's head, and sooner than he thinks. Hope I answered
absolutely.
that question.
People are also asking how they can get in touch with you.
Well, they can go on Facebook. They can friend me. They can DM me, or they can send me an email. I'm not going to put my phone out because I'll just be inundated. And I'm still trying to finish getting my book up and running, but certainly they can go to my email. I don't know if you've posted that or not. Did you post that yet? Or
If it was written in your bio, it's been posted. But the book itself, I can.
We
I
can add
can't
it
do
in
it.
at the end.
I can add it in at the end. I
okay,
can add it on the
okay. And as far as the book goes, I'll do.
Amazon.
I'm going to do. I'm not sure yet because I'm talking to some publishers, so I have to figure out where I'm going to publish it. I'm only going to go with a publisher of integrity. Okay.
Good for you.
If they want to crank out a book just to make money, it isn't my thing. Okay.
Right.
Because it's not about the money for me. It's never been about the money. It's been
Highest good.
the mission.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
It's been the mission because I get rewarded. The universe
Universe.
takes care of me. Things come when I need it. I'm
Mhm.
grateful. I'm not going to do anything for money because then I'm not in my integrity. And if I can't
Right.
practice what I preach, then what's the point of listening to me in the first place?
Don't becoming what you hate.
Whatever.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Because I know we're getting closer to 10. And
No.
I'm good. I mean,
Mhm.
whatever
Yeah.
people need.
Yeah, and when I had asked too about what the thing was, I realized that it was that, but I didn't know if there was some other darker undercurrent that was controlling, like Putin and things like
Look,
that, in
look,
order to
look,
that.
look.
But the greed,
There's this whole thing where you can go down the rabbit hole of
yeah.
people talking about the cabal and all that crap. Look,
Hmm.
I don't care what you call it, okay?
Hmm.
I don't care what the term or the name is for it. The issue is the collective consciousness of this planet. If
Hmm.
you continue to believe that stuff
Hmm.
and you take your thoughts and intention in that direction, you're going to create more of that. So
That's right.
stop
Yes.
it.
Yes.
See a little spray can,
Mhm.
and on it says, stop it. Okay. Stop it.
Stop
Because
it.
you're
Don't give it
feeding,
energy.
you're feeding into it energetically. Knock it off. You're too powerful. If look, trust me, during COVID, I was on Facebook. I saw all these theories about the cabal and about the dark side and all this other stuff. Look, I've been hearing about the devil, okay, forever. If I told somebody that was religious, that believed in the devil, right, that
Mhm.
I do hypnosis, they go, oh, well, that's of the devil.
That's
No,
true.
it's not.
Hmm.
And if you understand about reincarnation, they took that out of the Bible so they could control people with their religion.
They took a lot out of the Bible so they could
lot.
control it.
If you've ever read anything by the Essenes, Essenes, where they hid all the scrolls from the Essenes.
I have heard about that.
Okay.
That's one of many rabbit holes.
I write about that in my first book, believe it or not. Yeah, among the many other million things I write about. Okay. These were principles of truth and consciousness that were hidden, not only just to protect them because they did go after Jesus and crucify him, right? But they hid them because they felt that people would take them and bastardize them and destroy them. And they didn't want that information off the planet. And it's only in the last, maybe 50 years that people who are like me, that get downloads of information from higher energies
Somewhere.
of consciousness or somewhere.
Yep. There was another topic that you and I had talked about too, as far as addiction and things go, and people keeping themselves grounded on this third level because of some of the addiction issues that they have, and that this is a time to also deal with those in order to be able to ascend higher.
Well, okay, so ascension essentially is going from one vibratory frequency into a higher frequency until you're in this vibration of love and peace. We're supposed to have 2,000 years of peace on this planet. It was divinely predicted. Okay, we're not there, right? So how do we get there? Well, we are now in what's called the third dimensional frequency. It's an energy. And if you're in chaos and negativity, you're staying stuck in 3D. We're supposed to transcend or alchemize, ourselves from 3D into 4D, into 5D dimensions. Do you think our cell phones are 5D for no reason? I mean, come on, right? So these dimensional frequencies, they're just merely stepping stones from one dimension to another. However, if you don't know how to transcend and work on your inner work and raise your vibration, it's going to be very difficult for you to get to that next frequency. And if you look in my first book, you're going to see all the frequencies that I listed in there. Everything from, gamma rays to UV, to alpha, beta, theta, delta states of consciousness. And I literally break them down and explain them from not only a scientific perspective, but a biochemical perspective, right? Psychological, because I want people to understand that everything that you might study in school, whether it's science, biology, anatomy, music, it's all theoretical, but it's all based in vibration. And if you understand the dynamics of vibration, then you'll understand that science and spirituality, when they blend together, form metaphysics. So you can't have one without the other, or you will be out of balance, right? So it behooves you to just keep searching and researching. And just because something's on the internet doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Okay. And actually, the best way to learn is by reading, books that people have written who actually who have experienced them. When I lived in Santa Fe, I would walk into a metaphysical bookstore and I would have a question in my mind. And what would happen? A book would fall off the shelf, open up to the exact page with the answer. Now, what is that? Okay. Right.
I had a tarot deck fall in front of my feet and there was nobody else around. That was my very first tarot deck. I was like, that was meant for me.
Right. So look, just as people say you can't see or measure love, like it's not something you can measure. Well, we all know that's not true, right? Because just listen to Mozart, a beautiful sonata that's played from a place of love, passion and love that was created, right? And how does that feel? What does your body vibrate to? Every cell of your being vibrates to that vibration of love. So anything that you study that opens you up passionately and makes you vibrate to a feeling of love, is that a bad thing? No. We're supposed to continue to learn and evolve. That's who we are. We are souls that are here to evolve until we return to the Godhead, whatever that means for you, okay?
Mhm.
Which could be thousands of lifetimes. So if you've been given a gift of a body, why are you wasting it? Right?
Mhm.
And anybody who says they're bored, well, obviously isn't appreciating their life, because there are a million one things that you can go out and research and study that won't make you feel bored. They'll make you feel passionate and alive. But we've been told, let's just live in these little boxes because that's where we feel safe. Safety isn't in a box.
Labels. Yeah.
Okay. Safety is experiencing the true beauty of life in all its forms, no matter what happens, because it's all a learning experience for the soul to grow and evolve. And that's the only way anybody gets empowered. Nobody is ever getting empowered living in a house and never going out and seeing and talking to anybody.
That is so true. With that being said,
TV off.
we are going to, I don't use mine. Yeah, I definitely shut your TV off. Just checking here, and we're going to be signing off here in about 4 minutes. Just touching base. And do you want to go ahead and tell them how they can get in touch with you and find you, as well as, through your pages and things like that?
Yep, you can reach me either on, just friend me at my Anne Marie Young, my regular Facebook page, and also Rising of the Phoenix, where I kind of do a lot of what Renae was just talking about. And
Yes.
also Synchronicity, adding pieces to the puzzle. You can contact us there too.
Everybody has a purpose on this planet, even
Yes,
if they
we
don't
do.
think they do. Even if you don't think you do, everybody
Mhm.
has a purpose. Otherwise, you wouldn't agree to come into a body and have a life.
That's right.
That is so true. That is so true. We are so thrilled to have had you. We definitely would love to have you come back, because there are so many other areas that we didn't even touch on, although this has been exactly what everybody needed to hear. This is definitely something. Again, please watch this podcast multiple times, because there was so much information here that is so important that it's like a good movie. You watch it, but then the second time you watch it, you even pick up more pieces. So it's very, very important for all of us to transcend and to have our lights become brighter, and definitely to get on our paths and stay there, for that matter. But,
get busy and get happy and do the inner work.
Yes.
Because that's where the freedom, that's where your freedom will come from.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to close for tonight. We're right at 1 minute. Thank you so much for being our guest tonight. Dr. Renae Nagle, everybody, thank you. And definitely look for her books and reach out to her if you need. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great night.
Bye.